Hello, everyone. This is Andreas Pop Culture Talk. Yes, this is finally, I'm back again after a long vacation that I took. Of course, Will and I are back again for another spectacular Andreas Pop Culture Talk. Will, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, and I'm very excited for coming back to do a ranking video finally on my channel, my first channel, and of course we're gonna do Fast and the Furious.
hmm
Uh, which was crazy. I think how it is last 2 weeks ago or like a month. AC Will and John and the rest of the AC CSS group had a chance to watch this series in a marathon in one day. So yeah. So how was that experience for you?
It was pretty mind-numbing. Um, yeah. None of us had ever seen Fast and the Furious before, and we decided we were gonna watch them uh, Fast and Furious style, and just all at once.
Right.
It took 2 days. Um, yeah, we watched. Let's see. We watched the first four
Okay.
the first day, and then we watched 5 through 9 the second day. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, they all kind of blurred together by the end of it, but
Mm,
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
okay. Okay. Well, uh, that's pretty cool, and obviously to honor question,
Yeah,
because you guys plan to do Olive Garden. Did you guys did it twice, or you did it on the last day?
we just did it on the first day.
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted to do it for every meal, but that got shot down.
You the one suggested for everyone to eat it every other.
Yeah,
Uh,
I wanted it. To, that was part of the experience.
that's true.
Yeah,
Um,
um, to
uh,
make ourselves miserable by eating at Olive Garden for every single meal.
oh my
While we
god.
watched all of the Fast and the Furious movies.
Right, right. I really hope it just came up to me. Like, you could have just done was, okay, you shouldn't have done 2 days on Olive Garden as dinner, but
Uh-huh.
lunch, you shouldn't have done barbecue, you know?
Oh yeah, barbecue with some Coronas.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because that's the thing that I
oh,
know
that would have
is,
been better. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think we could do it, right? If
Oh,
you
I don't
guys,
know. I don't know if we're up to doing that again.
oh my god. Well, I meant to, like, do it for the new movie and that's it. And then just move
Yeah,
on.
I mean we do want to go see Fast 10. We still haven't seen Hobbs and Shaw. So we got to do that.
Yes.
Apparently Han comes from another movie.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Better
so
luck tomorrow.
we want to watch that.
Okay.
Um, yeah. No, there's more to be done.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh, that's good. Speaking of Hobbs and Shaw, like,
mhm,
I, well, it's sort of tough now because I know something from the new
mhm.
movie, and with the current situation with this franchise, like, trying to wrap up things, like, I don't know if we're gonna get a sequel on that.
Mhm.
So I thought initially it's gonna be superfluous for Fast 10, but now something sort of happened. But we'll see. But yeah. Wow. Well, I think that sums up Will and in his experience of Fast and the Furious. I can't believe you guys did it 2 days. And I I I mean, just just like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, those movies get longer and longer, and just gets ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah.
uh,
Watching the last 5 in the second day, I think that was like twice as long as the first 4 in the first day. Like
mhm.
it definitely felt like more of a marathon. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I from 5 to 7, like that is a very like how you say it, like consistent, like it's Star Trek, the original series trilogy movies, and like everything connects to that. And then
Hmm.
it's where 8 and 9, it's very like like can I say reset movies, really, you know,
Hmm.
like despite they carry over the plot lines they have, but it doesn't feel like there's a like strong like through line like from 5 to 7 had, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. It feels like seven felt very much like a finale, and then they kept
Hmm.
going in eight and
Yeah,
nine. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. I'll address that. Well, we'll address that in some of the movies. And so again to my part of my experience of Fast and Furious,
Hmm.
as I think a lot of people should know, as as a Latino person, I think this franchise has been very influential in my childhood. I mean, I seen
Hmm.
every Fast and Furious movie since the fourth film. The only the only films I didn't see in theaters was the eight, and then Hobbs and Shaw. But then I
Okay.
got back to watch F9, and then the new one recently.
Uh,
So yeah, but yeah, I've been a huge fan of the series. I mean, I seen the virtual trilogy over and over again, and around the time fourth movie was coming out, it was a big deal. This franchise, I mean, I think I mentioned this in our in the Guardians podcast. I think uh, when we were in that same almost the next day, I mentioned that this was the dumb Mission Impossible series because
yeah. That is definitely the exactly what I thought about it while we were watching it.
yeah, like like because I never seen a franchise like particularly like Mission Impossible. I kind of saw like okay, like the quality makes sense for that film series,
Hmm. Hmm.
but you never expect a franchise like Fast and the Furious to be the one franchise that gets better from each installment. I don't think none of us expected that, but that was the charm of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I mean first though, I mean just like I mean this is pre the Avengers. Like Fast
Hmm.
Five is the movie where you got to bring over multiple movies,
Hmm.
of a previous film from your franchise, and then putting all these characters that into one movie. Like it was a big deal, and especially because of when we get to Tokyo Drift, Han and that whole situation, and then Dom and the post credit scene, like
Hmm.
that felt like the Iron Man of 2008, and then like then it started to build up. When we got to four, I was like, oh yeah, this is happening. Like okay,
Hmm.
Dom knows Han. Then we get to five, and it's like, oh my god. And then six is like, oh my god. And then seven is like the combination of that. Like it was
Hmm.
the Infinity War of Furious Seven, or Age of Ultron, but so much better. But anyway, but yeah, it's just crazy. Like the mythology, the lore that they created, it's just insane. And the cast. I mean, like if you look at the cast here, it's like minus the main cast, like The Rock became The Rock because of this series, you
Hmm.
know. And without this series, you couldn't get Gal
Gal
Gadot,
Gadot. Yeah.
yeah, Gal Gadot, becoming Wonder Woman.
Hmm.
So that's a big deal. So I tremendously surprised how the series gone. But yeah, of course, any series has its lows and high lows and high highs, and the series has that.
Hmm.
So and to get right into our rankings, I just want to say, Will hasn't seen the new film, so he's gonna have 9, which is okay, really. I don't think it's a big deal, really. So he hasn't seen the new one, and he hasn't seen Hobbs and Shaw, right?
Right.
Yeah. So which it doesn't matter. It's so weird because like Hobbs and Shaw doesn't really connect at all with the major stuff in the Fast and Furious. But
Yeah, that was the
uh,
first one where I like saw a trailer and I was like, I want to see that movie. That was the first one that got me like
oh really?
interested. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
House of Shaw.
yeah. It just really
Okay,
seemed like The Rock and Statham were having a fun time making it. So
yeah. I actually I did an update on my list, and actually I'm kind of glad I kept House of Shaw, so I can explain that. Well, like that in the eighth film, because
hmm
I think one of the things that was very smart was they had chemistry in the eighth film, and
hmm
so it was kind of cool that they spelled out from that. Yeah, very intriguing film. Um, I think I was kind of like I put it in the list, but then I realized like it did cover a lot of the Fast and Furious themes and like lore that makes the series work,
hmm
and it does lack certain things in terms of Fast and Furious movie. Um, but we'll get into that, and same thing with with the recent ones, which I'll get into. So Will has 9, I have 10, so it's not a big deal. Um, I updated mine so I can include the new one, and so I can briefly discuss, blah blah blah, all that.
hmm
But yeah. Anyway, so let's. So how about do this? But how about you go first, Will?
Sure.
What's your number 9?
My number 9 was Fast and Furious, which I believe is the fourth one.
Yes, the
Yeah,
2009 film. Yeah.
yeah. So it was the one right after Tokyo Drift.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. None of the like set pieces felt very. They weren't as interesting as they were in other movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Letty dying was kind of weird.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. And then it was the first one where they were like really using CGI.
Mm.
And it was already
Mm-hmm.
at that time where everyone was confidently using CGI, but the CGI hasn't held up very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, just a lot of stuff not working for me in that one.
Yeah. Um, just a quick update. I previously from Guardians of the Galaxy,
Mm-hmm.
or I mentioned that was my 10th. With the new film, it dropped to 11th. So
Okay, so it's not on
for
your list.
yeah. So
Gotcha.
um, yeah, I'm in the same boat with you, Will. It was
Mm-hmm.
never my favorite. Um, I saw this a couple times when after it came out. But after we got the newer films from 5 to 7, and onwards, it just got really just it goes down because one of the big problems with this movie I have with it is the tone. It's way too serious. you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know, it's like I mean, I just want to remind people that this is before they changed the genre they were going to do in the Fast and Furious movies. This was still doing the street racing car
Yeah.
Fast and Furious, and they were trying to, do action like, but not action, but like they're trying to do action drama film. But I don't think that really meshed well.
No.
Uh, you know,
Yeah. No, I agree. Um,
so
yeah, it's just
I
kind of messy.
yeah. Um, and I felt like that was where because despite Tokyo Drift where it didn't have none of the characters, like at least it had like a new interesting location,
Mm-hmm.
in Tokyo, and I thought that some of the characters, like I thought Han was a really great character. I really
He's
liked
the
him.
best. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and he was the best. Here, you got like this movie is typical Rico 101. like, okay, get the band back together. You use one of the main characters as a token, death to bring everyone back to, in this film,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's like, oh my god, um, you know, uh, Dom, speaking of Vin Diesel, like, this is how you're not Trump. This is not how you should use Dom as a character. Like, you really need to use Ryan or someone else to balance Vin Diesel ego slash seriousness acting that he's
Hmm.
trying to do. And so it's really tough. And I think that's one of the difficult things about Fast and the Furious 2009 film. But I gotta say, I disagree with you, Will, about the action things. This was like, this was the step for them to elevate this franchise with their action scenes. Particularly, I know the tunnel scene is not really spectacular, but it's really good. I actually like it. But the opening scene of uh, hijacking the gasoline truck is
Hmm.
really iconic. It's actually one of the best of the series. For two reasons. Number one, this is actually a homage to the first film, where you remember in the opening of the first film.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's my highlight for the first film. But it was because it was like all practical effects, and then it kind of lost that in the fourth one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm not disagreeing that part. I mean, the part where Dom is trying to, like, I don't know what you call it. Like he just like tries to ride over, like, under the fiery
Hmm.
tank while it's rolling is like very bad. But when the the last part of the tank going down the cliff, that was real and that was cool.
Yeah,
So but they were still learning how to mix CGI action, like practical together,
right.
and they didn't get that in this fourth film.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's yeah, it's one of those, like, I enjoy it. I mean, I was happy to see all the gang back together, but it felt weird not to have Lady in,
Hmm.
the film. But I mean, it was funny. Like, when you got to five, it was like a great way to retcon. This is like the best retcons we've gotten. So it became another great storyline for Lady. For her to recover her memory and all that to seven. So so then and day, I think this movie got. I think it got better over time because of the major plot points we sort of pay off from this movie.
Okay.
You know. But at the same time, it's not like the Marvel movies where it's like I can maybe move them up or whatever. I cannot vote for this one because it's just like just very vanilla kind of Fast
Hmm.
and Furious. But one thing I do want to mention is they brought up another character here that's going to be major in the series is what's her name? Giselle, that's played by Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
Gadot. She's introduced here. I really liked her character. I thought her introduction here was really great. Like, she actually has chemistry with Van Diesel, Dom Toretto,
Hmm.
uh, and so that was really great. And so I think she was a good addition to the series. Um, yeah. What else? I like Brian O'Connor. I think after the passing of Paul Walker, I sort of appreciate now Brian O'Connor as a character,
Hmm.
and so I think his role here was really great. I mean, him and Ben have really great romance. I mean, they have the best chemistry ever, and that's one day it was great to see again because we sort of missed that from
Hmm.
the original Fast and the Furious trilogy.
Yeah.
Um, which uh, um, which is weird because, like, they sort of got that with the new characters, like Brian with Roman and Too Fast and Too Furious, and then Tokyo Drift with Sean with Han.
Hmm.
It was still there, but it's like you missed the Dom and Brian O'Connor relationship. That
Right.
was built in the first film. But yeah. Uh, Last thing I'd say is weak villain. I mean, Braga is an okay villain.
Hmm.
I like how we tie in that character in six, but
Right.
he's just he's just a stereotypical drug cartel. I did it's so funny when I rewatch this movie. It's just always funny how they make that a twist. It's like, oh, this is not like Braga is this very like they're trying to do the Mandarin slash
Hmm.
every like opposing supervillain, and it's like, oh, that's not the person I was thinking, and it's like, oh, it's the person right there in your face all along. I was like, oh, that is Braga. Like, it was very funny how they
Hmm.
made that like a super twist, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, so Braga is one of the least like mainstream villains, but whatever. In the Fast and Furious franchise of villains. So, but yeah, I think that's really it. Anything else for that?
No, that was it for me.
All right. Okay. Well, I can get into my number 10,
Hmm.
and I will be very brief about this because with the ranking we have, number 10 is F9, the Fast
Okay.
Saga. So I know you like this. I mean, this movie is very divided. I will say. I mean, like, okay, it has Justin Lin, who's the director from Tokyo Drift to Six.
Hmm.
He came back to do nine because he didn't do seven and eight. Those were different directors. Um, I was very happy about that. I think Justin Lin was great. They were making a big deal of Han coming back.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, Justice for Han. I was like, oh yeah, that's good. Um, you know, you had John Cena coming into this franchise, which was great. This is
Hmm.
prior to the Suicide Squad and Peacemakers
Yeah.
stuff. So I just want to remind people that. Um, and at the end of the day, I have to say it was very lackluster for me. I mean, I try to figure out like I don't think I think I only seen the one time of F9. I think in a
Hmm.
while. Yeah, I think so because I it's not yet in TV, but uh, I I don't know. I felt like um there was I mean, well, one of the big issues with the recent Fast and Furious movie, and including the recent new one, Fast 10,
Hmm.
um it's just I don't like when we separate Dom with the crew. And of course, ever since Fast, after Paul's death, we sort of lose the partner for Dom to have, like, equal to him. And so it was really a struggle for this movie for me to,
Hmm.
like, have just scenes with Dom being himself and, with the story, separate from the crew. And it's like, because then it makes it very uninteresting, And
Yeah.
so that's where it's my biggest problem with this movie. And then and then the villains, like I love John Cena. He was great in Bumblebee and he's great in the Suicide Squad, but I didn't like his I didn't like the direction they took with Jacob Terrell in this movie, being this very ultra serious supervillain. Like I think he needed more personality and
Hmm.
touch, and with the other villain Otto, that was the British blonde character. Like he didn't work really well, and it was really
Yeah.
bad. And then you got Cipher, played by Charlize Theron. She's kind of there. It's like, okay, do something with her. Come on, you
Hmm.
introduced her in the eighth film, and she was a big bad. Like she killed Dom's ex like ex girlfriend,
Hmm.
you know, of her of his son. It's like you should have done something more to that, and then they didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
And
He
then
didn't.
yeah, exactly. And the last thing before I'll get to your opinion on F9, um, the Han thing. I was like very resistant on having Han come back. I
Hmm.
mean, I know a lot of people were very happy to see Han back, but I was a little resistant of that because I felt like that could easily destroy the dramatic um seriousness that you got from Fury 7, and then the overall arc you got from that character from Tokyo Drift to, throughout the newer films, from,
Hmm.
that to Fury 7. So I got to this, did not give me, they did not give me the great explanation of why he came back, and it was really awful. Like, it's like, oh, Mr. Nobody did this magic trick, and that's it. Like, okay, that's
Hmm.
okay. I don't know, whatever. And then Mr. Nobody, what we're doing with Mr.
Uh,
Nobody.
I don't know, man. Like Kurt
Yeah,
Russell's having a good time.
yeah, like this is far worse than Nick Fury in the MCU. Like, it's like, oh, actually, he's actually doing the right thing than Nick Fury did. Like, he's actually three steps ahead from the villains than Nick actually did in either the Hydra outbreak than the Infinity War thing. It's like, it's
Hmm.
ridiculous. When I'm saying this, because like Fast 10, something happened and then it made a lot of sense why he's the spirit and all that. But anyway,
Okay.
um, yeah. And speaking of that, Fast 10 is literally the Fast and Furious Infinity War Part 1. So I'll leave you to that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's great. Yeah, yeah, that's my opinion of F9. I mean, um, like those are my negatives. Positives, um, I I think, the cast is still good. I was very happy to see Jordan Brewster's, Mia coming back.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the action is still great. Like the magnets, that was the best thing they had in this movie. Like they were very creative on that. I really like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's really it. And yeah, the space sequence was fun. I mean, it was like they did have my favorite line, and I will bring up. We should bring up like favorite moment and favorite line from a Fast and Furious thing. My favorite thing about this is Roman having this meta commentary that they are superhuman and they're
Hmm.
surviving these ridiculous scenarios they have been with the
Yeah.
submarine, all that. That was very funny. I actually did like that. But
Yeah.
my favorite, yeah.
Uh,
and then in the space sequence, then I'll get to you, Will.
mhm.
They, I love this line. It's like two black men from the ghetto in space. That killed me when I saw them in theaters. When they
Mhm.
say they were two men from the ghetto in outer space, but no one believed. No one's gonna believe them. Anyway. Okay. What's your opinion, Will, on F9? Is it in your list or what?
Yeah, it's higher up on my list.
Mm.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed the further the movies went, the like stupider the plot got,
Mm.
and like the less realistic it was. So yeah, any escalation of like what was possible for them to do with cars um,
Yeah.
was yeah, that was a plus in my books. So them going
Okay.
to space was incredible. It's so dumb. Um, but yeah, going back to like what you're saying about Roman's like meta commentary
Hmm.
reminded me of like my biggest like peeve with all of the movies
Hmm.
um, is that Roman is consistently like the best character.
Mm.
Like he's the funniest, and then like every movie, it seems like he has one scene where he does something like incredibly cool, and no one's there to see it.
Yes.
And like in the second movie, he was like this like really suave guy, and he was really cool. And then it just feels like in every single movie that he's in after that, they make him the butt of all the jokes.
Yeah.
Like they treat him like he's nothing, and I don't understand because he was so cool in three, and like I like him more than I like
Hmm.
basically everyone but Han. I really liked Han and Roman, um,
Yeah.
and like that was it. Um, so it just really bothered me that they like kind of made him a joke.
Yeah. I I think that happened because of Fast Five. I think like Fast Five was like I think a reboot for certain characters, and like
Hmm.
it was a good, like they really like set up the template for our team of
Hmm.
those characters that were returning from the original trilogy. So like Tesh and Roman became like the more typical characters. Okay, Tesh became the tech whiz, and I was like, okay, like you have to accept that, really.
Hmm.
Like no matter what. And then Roman became the the comedic relief of the team, and
Right.
I'm fine with that. I think from fifth to this movie it was fine. I actually have a problem with that in the recent film,
Oh,
which
oh, it gets worse.
yeah.
That's a
So
bummer.
yeah, I I'm gonna do two spoiler casts coming out Wednesday, and I will address that. But I will address that with Chris. We're gonna do a
Okay.
podcast on that as well.
Yeah.
Um, it, it it was really bad in Fast 10. I didn't mind
Oh,
that in F9
okay.
because the thing is, he has great ideas. Like he does, it's just great ideas during these films, and like he does have
Yeah, but no one treats him like he has good ideas.
yeah. I guess I I guess they don't like do like they don't mean spiritedly pick on him. Like they just like childishly pick on him.
It feels
And
like
that
Tej does. Like that conversation that they were
mm,
having, like when they were in space, and he was like trying to be like, "Oh, like isn't it weird that all the stuff that we do?" Like that was like
mm,
actually interesting for like a character to acknowledge that, and then Tej was like just
yeah,
kind of shutting it down.
yeah.
It was like the
Um,
writers were like, "Oh, like we have like an interesting thing to think about here," and they were like, "No, better make fun of it and then move on to Car being in space."
yeah.
Um,
Um,
yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Yeah. It's tough. I I guess I don't know. It's just weird for me. I guess with the recent one. Sorry, going back to the recent one, but
That's
like the
right.
new one because I I I think if we have Brian here, like I can understand the thematic, like the Roman test is more like a friendship, like a very bigger friendship,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and where the Dom, like the Brian and Roman are like very brotherly friendship, just like the Dom relationship. Because
Mm-hmm.
from 2002 Furious, if you don't know, Brian knew him, and they were like trouble kids, and
Right.
obviously he took the fall for Brian and all that. Like I I think if we have Paul here again, like I think we could have maybe done something more with that in the future installments, but of course we
Mm-hmm.
don't have that. Um, yeah, it's tough, and without that, the Tesh and Roman thing, it's like I'm a little kind of like are there is this like a brother relationship, or is this like a bricker, like is this like a comedy duo like relationship being that we are always used to watching in movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Speaking of that, but no, just getting back to F9, I thought Roman was still great in this. I thought it was funny. It didn't cross the line as they did with Fast 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, yeah. But I unfortunately this kind of maybe started that, and then Fast 10 took it too far.
Yeah, that's too bad. I'm sorry to
Yeah,
hear that.
yeah. It's really bad, and the thing they did, and not to spoil the thing, but like the thing. Well, it's kind of spoilable, but it's not like a big huge theme. It's just they did the thing with the Infinity War, where you have the separate characters,
Mm-hmm.
and the and I mentioned now, just 40 minutes ago or whatever, that I don't like that these movies we separate Dom from the crew, and that's not good.
Yeah.
It's I don't like that. So, anyway, any what else did you like by F9 besides that? Um,
There was some good like action scenes. I liked the flashbacks. The guy that played young Dominic was good.
Oh
Um,
yes.
I did
Yep.
notice because I watched all of them in 48 hours that the timeline didn't really add up.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, in the first movie, I think Dom says that he's 24, and that movie takes place in 2001,
Yeah.
which means he was born in 1977.
80. Uh. Okay.
And then the flashback in F9 takes place in, I want to say, 99. No, not 99. 89.
89. Right.
Which means that that guy, that full adult man, is supposed to be 12 years old.
Uh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
So that it took me out of it.
Really, I. I think. I think the idea of John Cena being the brother for Vin Diesel, Dom Toretto, like
Yeah.
that took me off. Still.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, because in the flashback, w- the what was it like? The younger Jacob is nothing
Hmm.
like the Jacob looks more like Vin Diesel, where the other young
Mm.
Dom looks more like Jacob. It's just weird
Oh,
with
I
their
thought the guy that looked like. I thought the guy that played Dom looks like Vin Diesel.
okay. Um.
Like a um, skinnier Vin Diesel. Like obviously he was still like jacked,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like a less wide Vin Diesel.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing. Is that the older versions is kind of weird, but the
Hmm.
younger ones are a little more accurate. But yeah.
Yeah.
Um, before you brought up the flashback, I did like the younger cast of Mia, Letty, and then Vince. I think Vince was there as well.
Mm.
I thought their casting was pretty on point. So
Hmm.
yeah. And it's actually good you brought up the flashback. It was cool to see the death of the father because we got that mentioned in the
That's
first film.
yeah. Which yeah, we can talk about that when we get to the first
The,
one.
the
But
first one. Yeah, I did not remember when he had that moment until I saw like a video of it yesterday, and I was like,
mm,
oh yeah,
yeah.
it's been a while seeing the first one. So, oh my god. Um, but also what was it that they also pay off was the wrench thing that they like constantly bring up, like the reason Dom got like a Ricker for his
Mm,
criminal activity, because he hit a guy with a wrench.
yeah.
Lately we saw that in this movie, and I was like, oh, okay. Um, I mean, okay, that was kind of cool. So,
Hmm.
but it was kind of funny that this is how he met the two Spanish people that were in his crew that you see in 4 and 5.
Yeah. And were they in 6?
No,
Which
they
was the one in Brazil? Was that 5?
yeah, Brazil's
Okay.
in 5.
Okay.
Yeah, they stopped appearing after that. But then they came back in a cameo in 8.
Right.
Uh, yeah. Uh, which was a thing because my mom liked those characters. I liked those characters, and so it's
Yeah,
kind of
no,
funny.
they're fun. So they were really good in 5.
Yeah. Oh
Very
my god.
funny.
Yeah, very funny. I love them. Yeah, and a very interesting tidbit. The young guy of the Spanish one
Hmm.
is the singer that does the famous song "Belamos" in the fifth film.
Oh,
When you hear, yeah, so he's a singer as well, and that's the song you hear when you're seeing the montage of everyone having their like success, um,
hmm,
free life after doing the heist,
hmm,
and so that song is actually played by him, the Spanish young guy.
cool.
Yep, yep. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Any nitpicks of F9 for you besides the Roman thing?
No, that's the main one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm shocked about that one. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like the dumber they get, the more fun it is for me. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
I mean, even the villains. It's like, oh, okay, because Jacob became a good guy afterwards. So it's like, okay,
right.
so
They
yeah,
did that a lot.
ah, yeah, uh, yeah, they do. Well, actually, that's fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. Because they're because it's good to bring it up because Fast 10 actually mentioned that the character, well, in a different way. The character
Mhm.
mentioned that, but it's for a specific group, and like it was really funny when I saw
Okay,
that in London. um, okay. So I did my 10. Want to go to your 8?
sure. My 8, and this is going to be controversial.
Okay.
My 8 is Tokyo Drift.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the positive things first.
Okay. Sure.
Um, Loved Han. Han is
Mm-hmm.
great.
Yep.
Um,
Amen. Amen.
Drifting is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And this was still like a lot of practical car stunts.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were a lot of homages to like the history of drifting, which is really cool. So like the guy
Yes.
that invented drifting is like one of the fishermen that's like watching them uh,
Oh, I
like
didn't know that.
practice. Yeah, and then the road that they race on at the end
Mm-hmm.
is like the very famous road that they would do like drift races on when they were like learning how to do it when like it was being invented.
Mm. Okay, that made a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah, so that was cool to see. But otherwise, um, man, I did not think that the main actor was very good.
Yeah.
I also thought he looked like he was 40 and he was supposed to be playing like a 17-year-old. So that took me out every time. I feel bad saying that because we looked it up and he was like in his mid 20s. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was especially weird to watch the later movies. He comes back in, is it 8 or 9? They
No.
all blur together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
He came back briefly for Figure 7 because
oh,
that
okay.
connected the post credit scene for Tokyo Drift.
Right,
And
right. Okay.
and then
Um,
speaking of F9, he actually comes back fully in F9.
okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh.
Yeah. Again, we watched them all in like one sitting, so they've all blurred together.
Yeah.
Um, so certain details are kind of muddled. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the him coming back in F7, that's supposed to be like a few years, like or like a year, if that, after Tokyo Drift.
Uh. I don't think you need to question that. I think it's
No,
many years since Tokyo Drift. Yeah,
but
it's
like, but they're like recently mad at Jason Statham for killing Han. Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. The timeline of these movies does not work like
No,
at
they
all.
don't. No,
Um,
no.
yeah. Anyway, and then I don't know. It did have one of the plots that I could actually follow. Like I understood what was happening with the villain.
Okay.
So that was nice. Um, but I don't know. It just
Uh,
didn't do it for me. Um, and the editing was kind of, and this was also a huge criticism I had of the fourth movie.
mhm.
Um, it's so many cuts for every little thing, and this it
Yes.
continued into future movies. But I feel like it did get better, especially in the later ones. But for
Yeah.
a while there, from like 3 to 5, I want to say, like especially when they were driving, Like, I get you want it to feel like it's going fast, but they would have like 4 shots a second, and it was
Yeah,
just too much.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it reminded me of that clip that like the internet kept making fun of like several years ago from is like Taken 2 or Taken 3 or something, where Liam Neeson's like jumping
Oh,
over a fence and it takes 17 cuts. Um, yeah, it just felt like every single scene where anything was happening was just that.
mm,
Uh, it just was
mm,
exhausting.
yeah. Yeah. It's in Taken 3. I seen that film, and
Yeah.
it's in there. Yeah. I think one of the issues with the car action scenes in Tokyo Drift is they don't, because the first two, like you saw, like when they, like, because we're in a different country and the way of driving is different. And for
Mm-hmm.
this installment, it didn't have your traditional Fast and Furious, like street racing motifs that you saw, like seeing through the eight. I don't think we see like through the ancient, like the engine of the diesel gas that you
Mm-hmm.
usually see with the drivers, particularly Brian Connor, Don do and their cars. Like you
Mm-hmm.
don't have that. And then when both directors, from the first two, I mean, the different directors from both the first two, like showed you the perspective, like how like when you drive really fast in your car, that you could see the perspective in a very visual way.
Mm-hmm.
Here, it's very grounded, which is it's not a big deal. Like actually, I like how grounded it is, but like you're doing a lot of cuts to see these angles, and it's kind of tough to follow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the issues. I can see why. Uh, but yeah, I don't think it's really I don't think it's controversial, really.
No. Did people
In
not
the
like Tokyo Drift?
No, I like Tokyo Drift.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
My impression was that people really liked that one.
yeah. Well, I I brought up the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Like because of the franchise we had here, because of what happened with the post credit scene we got here in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it 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 gets better because we knew what's gonna happen afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's sort of not high end list, but it's like in the middle of the road, kind of
Mm-hmm.
top tier, like in the ranking. But for a while, this isn't too fast, or like the bottom of the list, really. So
Oh. Okay.
yeah, like it just really depends what you really want for your Fast and Furious movie. Like okay, like the issue I have with this, prior prior to when we got to 4 and onwards,
Mm-hmm.
it was really weird that you did not have any of your original characters from the first two to come back for the third
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
So, I know the fact the third one was going to direct DVD, and it was because this is how important Justin Lin and the writer Chris Market is, because
Mm-hmm.
those two saved the franchise from that DVD, like franchise unfortunately dead uh, direction,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, that some franchises go to, like Hellraiser and all that. um so I think that was one of the unfortunate things about this movie, is that you don't have none of the original characters, despite Dom coming in towards the end,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of like, okay, it's the same thing with the Iron Man post credit scenes with Nick Fury. It's like, uh, I'm here for the Adventures Initiative, and it's like, oh, okay. It's like if you're not a comic book fan or a Marvel fan, it's like, who are the Avengers? And it's like, like back, like, now it's like, oh yeah, I know the Avengers, but at the
Mm-hmm.
time it's like you don't know, like this is gonna happen.
Right.
So that's what happened. Um, what was the other criticism? You brought up the main actor. That's another big criticism. Why he's always in the bottoms because of him.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lucas Black. He's an okay actor. He's very. I don't know. He's from Southerner. I don't know. He's from the South or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like his character being a teenager is kind of weird. I think I don't know. I think it should have been a better lead because I I wish that Universal allowed Justin Lin to just did the Han focus because
Yeah.
initially, like Han, like because Sean, the actor that plays Han is a way better actor than
Yes.
Lucas Black, fortunately, and I like, unfortunately, this time where minority groups weren't taken seriously as leads and slash, market.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really
All
unfortunate.
yeah. All of the white studio heads didn't want people of color leading movies. So they didn't think
Yep.
they would sell tickets. Yeah. I would
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
much preferred Han being the main character.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. It's not a surprise. It's at bottom of your list.
mhm.
I will say it's one like 1 point ranked in my list. It's at number 7. Let me
Okay.
say that out loud. So it's not high, but it's right there. But yeah. It's we won't get, I don't know where Too Fast Too Furious lands, but like it's just one of those sequels.
Yeah. I
And
think my take on that one will actually be controversial
yeah,
from what I'm hearing.
yeah. I mean, it depends. I mean, I think the thing about that, it has other. I think it's because it has more that it kind of cover in the Fast and Furious movies than Tokyo Drift. It's
Hmm.
like the Han and the post credit scene. Um, they're going to be important in the sequels, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What else? I guess just to wrap things with Tokyo Drift for you. What you thought about the post credit scene? Were you
Um,
expecting that when you got to the third week? That's the thing.
I was not.
What was you guys' response to that? I'm very curious about that.
I don't know. We were just trying to figure out like how it was gonna work. Um, like was like the kid from Tokyo Drift gonna show up in future movies? And then when we got to 4 and Han was
Mhm.
there, we were very
Yeah,
confused. Uh, and then they kept teasing that he was going to move to Tokyo. Like they would bring it up
yeah,
every single movie, and we
I
are like, okay,
know.
so
Yeah,
this takes place before.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my god, it was very funny. But it worked. I mean, that was
Hmm.
the big thing.
Yep.
So yeah, kudos for them. Yeah, yeah. When I first remember this, I was like, "Oh no way, Vin Diesel's here," and I was sort of curious. And then when I saw 4, I was like, "Oh, okay." It. With the line that Dom said he used to ride with him. Before he
Right.
went to Tokyo, so it was like, okay, 4 really like confirmed that, and then 5 like set up, not like okay, so the like he's been a loyal member for Dom, but like it set up the Tokyo thing prior to
Hmm.
his death. So like
Hmm.
they did a good job of saying that, like the build up to his death to Fast and Furious 7.
Hmm.
So yeah, very crazy thing about Tokyo Drift. But um, I I don't want to bring up box office numbers, but this is still the lowest grossing Fast and Furious movie. Without any of your recognizable characters, especially Brian O'Connor, it was the lowest. So like they really need to turn around. That's like how important the fourth film was, because the fourth film did more money than this movie did. Unfortunately.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh, anything else about Tokyo Drift?
Um, no,
All
that's
right.
it for me.
All right. Let me get to my number 9. Um, Not surprised here. It's still yeah. I dropped this to eight now to nine. It's the first film, The Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a classic. I mean, it's sort of to put a high in your list with the better ones I like, but it's still important. I mean, it should be in your list no matter the number. I mean, first up, you introduce all the main characters uh, moving forward to this franchise with with Dom, Brian, Mia, and Letty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it gave you everything. I mean, family for just one sentence. Uh, it set up the barbecue thing,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and then just introduce the bromance that we got for Dom and Brian, and
Mm-hmm.
basically, I mean, I mean, it's common knowledge if you know about this movie. This is basically a rip off from Point Blank. I mean, it's literally Point Blank, Point Break, but with cars,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually the best version of it, and that's crazy. And so, yeah, it's a great film. I mean, it's adorable. It's like just it does such a good job of being very like what's the word, like very like accurate about how LA was. Very
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
diverse culture, and that was very something you didn't see in films. So that was really important, which is something that's been carried over with the films with the diverse um
Mm-hmm.
group with the Fast and Furious.
Yeah, it's something I really appreciate about these movies.
Yeah. So but yeah, and just quickly, why isn't number nine? It's like it's Fast and Furious. I mean, it's a very typical like crime drama, street racing movie. You have a villain that's okay, whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just a good, it's a classic film that you don't expect to have a franchise this long as Fast and Furious has been
Right.
since 21 years now, which is crazy. So, or 22 years now. My
Mm-hmm.
bad. So, yeah. Any opinions on Fast and the Furious? It's in your list, right? I think I remember the last time discussed.
Yeah, it's actually next on my list,
Okay, okay.
right
Um,
above Tokyo Drift.
okay. You want to lean into your discussion with that and lean into your uh ranking
Yeah,
to that? Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, like I said earlier, the practical effects, especially in that opening, are really
Mm,
cool, really well
yeah,
done.
yeah.
And then we mentioned it before, but the speech that Dom gives about like his dad dying,
Yeah.
that was the best acting I've ever seen from Vin Diesel, which is
That's true.
admittedly a low bar, but he did a really good job there.
Right, right.
Yeah. Um, yeah. And there's some good like one-liners in the first one that I like genuinely appreciated. Like the part where oh, I'm going to be really bad with a lot of the character names. Um, Dom's sister,
Mia.
Mia,
Yeah.
and Paul Walker, who I know his name is Brian, but I refuse to call him that. Because Brian just feels like Brian's like an accountant's name.
Oh.
You know,
Okay. That's
the
fun for you.
character's like so cool, and then his name is Brian.
I mean, Brian
Uh,
O'Connor. I mean, that sounds.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
I
he
mean,
doesn't look Irish enough to be named Brian O'Connor. But
oh,
I, anyway,
what?
um,
Okay, okay.
I don't know. His name doesn't fit the character. Is all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, anyway, there's the scene where they're in the kitchen, and then the other guy
Mm,
comes in, who's like,
Vince.
sure, yeah. Um, he comes in and Mia asks him like, "What's that restaurant you always wanted to take me to?" And then he like says that, and then she's like, "All right, Paul Walker, you're gonna take me there." That was the most devastating thing I've ever seen on film. It
Oh
was
my god.
fantastic.
Oh my god. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a good like this. It was so good.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, that was a big no because that's gonna make him more angry. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was he deserved it. It was really funny.
No, that's just true. That's true. Yeah, that was really funny. The funny gag was the uh what was it? Dom had told Brian or Paul
Mm-hmm.
to give him his 10-second car, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
And then he called it back, and then he sees this junk car that Brian took from the whatever the pound or whatever he found it, and that was funny. Like they brought
mm-hmm.
that back. um, but yeah. I mean, another thing, I guess, it's pretty cool. I guess I have to say was the effects. Like they pull off a very like I mean for the budget they had here, this they pull off a lot of like techniques and stunts that they still use in the
Mm-hmm.
franchise, and so that's pretty cool. Speaking of the opening, this the other one that's also iconic is the finale with the where Brian needs to stop Dom from
Mm-hmm.
escaping. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's still iconic. I mean, the flip of the Dodger car that Dom rides throughout the series
Yeah,
is so like that's real. Like that was really practical, and
yeah.
that
No,
was one shot.
all of the shot, like all of the like stunts were so good in that movie.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
like there was definitely a point in like the middle of the franchise where they were transitioning from like pure practical effects to like CGI effects, where it just did not work.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, like the initial ones where it's all practical are incredible, and then by the time CGI got really good, like those are fun too.
yeah,
Not as like I don't know, practical always um, is like more exciting to me because
yeah,
you know you can tell that it is like a real vehicle. It doesn't just feel like you're watching like some fantasy movie on the screen.
yeah.
Yeah, just like the shot at the beginning of the first film where the car goes like underneath the truck.
Yes.
Oh man, that's so cool. Like
Mhm.
they, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know that was really nice. Very neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, this movie was very very influential in the action series in general. So, and practical stunts for films.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I will say that I kind of wish with the original trilogy is like we kept Dom and Brian as the main leads after this movie,
Mm-hmm.
because that's sort of the issue with the original trilogy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like because with Brian, I because I like Paul Walker, but like Brian was never my favorite character
Right.
in the Fast and Furious because what he did in the first film, and that's why I never liked the second film because it was about him, and it's like, you know,
Right. Yeah.
I didn't appreciate the, I mean, Too Fast, Too Furious and its potential of
Mm-hmm.
what they did, as a sequel. So, but yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, it's a classic. I mean, I don't know what else you can say. I mean, with the Fast and Furious, it's just crazy that they started this multi-billion-dollar franchise that's going on for Universal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's crazy. Okay, so let's continue with you. Let's get into your number 7. What's your
Right.
number 7?
That was Furious 6.
Okay, for you
Yeah,
6. Okay.
which I believe is the one where Letty doesn't have her
That's
memory.
Yeah, Fear Six. Yeah,
Yes.
and that's where
Uh,
get introduced Decker Shaw's brother.
right.
That's played by Luke Evans.
Yeah. Um, I did like how like cartoonish he was as a villain.
Yeah.
Um, I liked the like very obvious like analogs between the main team and the like evil team. That
Yes.
was fun. I didn't like the Letty storyline.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, first off, I think that's the most conscious thing you actually had in your list. Is between Fast Six low in your list, and you
Hmm.
like really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. I mean, first off, I mean, it's your list. I respect it. As a Fast Furious fan, I don't know what you're drinking or eating.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Like
you
again,
know, I, I,
I'm not
wow.
like yeah.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Okay. Let me get into the Lady storyline. Yeah.
Okay.
You brought up. I do agree with that. I was kind. It was kind of annoying that she had like amnesia, like she couldn't remember. Um. I think it's kind of okay is that like we didn't spend too much of it in films. It's like we just spent it a little bit in the next film, and that's it. And like it got wrapped up pretty quickly, you know.
Hmm.
But as it is, I think um it's a very necessary plot line you need for this Figure Six for the states. That's the thing I like about it. It's like it's a necessary thing to for the fast team for them to do what they're doing for this movie.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's because it's like okay, she's a former member of the family, so like you need to bring like you should like was like of course the famous line from this movie from Dom is like you never turn back on your family, and
Hmm.
that's true. So he's not turning back on Letty at all, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I don't mind that, but I can see why it's not really particularly good storyline, and it's like
Yeah. I still don't understand why they killed her in the fourth one.
yeah,
So that
yeah,
bothered me, and then they
yeah,
just like it just felt like an extension of that I didn't like.
yeah.
But
I agree. I don't like it either. I just I mean I'm happy they retconned it, but there were maybe other ways you could have done it, but I don't know. So
hmm.
but yeah, so I mean you have Figure Six in your seven, so kind of like what are the things like you put on this list in that spot?
What do you
What do you
mean?
think?
How do you mean?
How to say it? Like besides the Letty, like what was some other negatives and nitpicks you have for this film that make
Um,
it low on your list?
I mean, at this point, I feel like it's just that I liked other movies better.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay. Um, okay. Well, I have it at my number three, so it's on my
Uh huh.
list, so I can throw that out.
Okay.
I mean, as the new trilogy from five to seven, it's in the middle chapter, so it's the perfect like it's sort of like I say like it's sort of like Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, where okay you got
Hmm.
the team like the team you like, you have the formula pretty much set up well, and so they're not changing it as much. It's
Hmm.
just more of like the storyline is gearing up for the major one for Figure Seven. It's like okay, at this point, okay, this is why Han is going to Tokyo because of Giselle's death. Okay, that makes sense. You know, and
Hmm.
then this movie, after the fourth film, or really after the first film, everyone got pardoned from their crimes and they went back to L.A. and
Right.
be free, so like that is paying off from this long point that we never expect to be payoff,
Mhm.
since the first film. Um, and then yeah, and then of course, it's continuing the thing with Fast Five. Like they lean very heavily on the super spy ness. Like this becomes a super, Mission Impossible movie basically. Like it's literally Mission Impossible, but with cars. But yeah, so. But yeah. But what favorite action scene you like from this movie? I mean, this continues with the best action scenes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um, this is the one with the truck on the bridge, right? And then Vin Diesel and Letty colliding midair. Was it this one?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah, that
yeah, with
one.
the
That's my
tank, yeah,
favorite one.
yeah,
The physics did not make sense, but it looked cool.
yes, um, yeah. Oh my god! And then Roman had to jump off from his car to Brian's car.
Right.
Like that's another iconic scene, which was cool because that like they did it one shot and they got it. So that's
Hmm.
pretty cool. The final climax, the airplane. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, that was cool too.
yeah, like that's another one that they really step up. So
Hmm.
that's crazy. But yeah, um, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I like this movie. I mean, I don't want to say it's safe, but like it just continues the strengths that you like about Fast Five,
Hmm.
but it doesn't have like anything that's top like the some of the other better ones, or it doesn't have like a uniqueness to it,
Hmm.
some of the other
Yeah.
ones, but
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, but I liked it more because we got more time with the team. That's the
Hmm.
big thing. It's sort of like the Age of Ultron thing. It's like, okay, the reason you like Age of Ultron is like you spent time with the Avengers as a team
Right.
prior to their split. So yeah, that's a big thing. Um, okay. Anything else to say about Fast Six before I move on to my eight?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So, very quickly, number eight is Too Fast and Too Furious. That's my list there. This was difficult. I was thinking either put this like above Tokyo Drift for my number seven, or just leave it like that. I'm leaving it at eight. I mean, this is the lowest of the Fast and Furious people's ranking.
Uh-huh.
Um, I I disagree. I think I as you see what my ranking, I like it more than the other two. I don't like.
Hmm.
Um, I mean for two reasons. I mean, first off, it's directed by the late great Jonathan Sinklin, who is the director that did The Boys in the Hood, did the reboot of Shaft in 2000 with Samuel L. Jackson.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, so him taking over this route was very weird. This is his first PG-13 film, and he totally delivers this. I mean, first off, you got a bunch of cars coming out from the garage to distract the police from where is Roman and Brian cars
Hmm.
at. That's like so iconic. The reintroduction of Brian to the film is iconic. Like the racing of the new characters and with Tesh introduced is really cool and
Yeah.
great. With the neons lights under the cars and stuff like that. That's pretty cool.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's a good sequel. It's such a fast paced film, great action. Like I mean, like this is like car carnage at the maximum. Like you're
Hmm.
seeing cars
Hmm.
being destroyed. Like you see a car you see the car going under the truck and then getting crushed, under the wheels.
Hmm.
Like yeah, crazy. Yeah, I really like that. I liked it because of the character growth for Brian Connor. So, like the first film, he was always like he was very timid, but then in this movie, he's very confident because of what happened with the first film.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that's kind of cool. He's very confident and, like, he knows, like, he's a very experienced character now from what happened. And, this film, like, I didn't notice this, but they always brought up the mention of Dom, like, why he let go of Dom and all that. Like, that was kind
Right.
of cool, connect to the first film.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I brought this up, and most importantly, it brought three or like two important characters in the series: Tash, Roman, and then Eve Mendes character. I forgot her name, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I mean, unfortunately, she's just a cameo in Fast Five. Unfortunately,
Right.
But that was cool. Let's see her again.
Yeah, it was. I was surprised they didn't do anything with it, but it was cool to see her.
Yeah, I think if we didn't have uh Isabel, the Brazilian cop, that
Mm-hmm.
she took over more. I think what he meant this character could have been, like, be a partner to
Mm-hmm.
Hobbs. So that's the big thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, So I mean, yeah, it's very sad. But you gonna say something? I sorry, I cut off from you
Oh
there.
no, I don't think I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, yeah, and it just catching Roman here, which was
Mm-hmm.
great. I think one thing I think people overlook is the Roman and Ryan relationship, because it has that Dom and Brian relationship, but it's different,
Yeah. I thought they had a really good chemistry.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the saving grace for this. And another thing people don't talk about, actually, I I actually like the villain for Too Fast Too Furious.
Yeah.
Like he's a proper villain. Like I mean, like, um his character's name. Oh my god, what's his name? Something. Hold on, pull his name up something here. But I think his name is Hector. Like, he's very frank. When he puts the rat on
Yes. Yeah.
Flash,
That was
that's very, like, proper
messed up.
menace.
Yeah.
So, like, he's very messed up, and I think he's one of the underrated Fast and Furious villains that no one talks about.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird. So, but yeah. Negatives I have. I I guess at the time, without having Dom and the other characters like Mia and all that, it just was kind of a desperate sequel. It's like, okay, you have this one character that you're able to use, and you're not having the OG crew with Brian.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main issue. But it's not as bad, because it's like I think Brian was a good part, like a good direction to continue if you cannot get Vin Diesel to come back. So that's fine. But yeah, so I think that's just my opinion. But anything else, I guess that's really it. I think Too Fast Too Furious is a good sequel. It's nothing bad about it. It's just, I think the grand scheme of things, it just doesn't have that, like, flavor you like about the Fast and Furious movies yet. But it continues what makes the first one great, and it's just like a sequel. It's just that's it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. This one was very high on my list.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious to talk more about that. So, but yeah. So for you, you want to go to your number 6?
Sure. Yeah. That was F9, which we've already talked about. But
Okay.
yeah, I like when they're really big and really stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's like, because I didn't hear your opinion on the villains. What's
Yeah.
your opinion on the villains for F9?
I like Cypher as a villain. I think Charlize Theron's really hamming it up in these movies.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, she makes a good villain.
Yes, she does.
And then I like John Cena in just about anything. So I thought he was fun.
Okay. Right.
And then if there are other villains, I don't remember them.
Yeah. Like you have this British like lacking that John Cena has. His name is
Mm-hmm.
Otto, which is funny. His name is Otto.
Yeah, I vaguely remember them. Like he, there's something with the Shaw house. There's like a mansion. I don't
Hmm.
remember. Yeah, I didn't care about him.
Yeah, and the whole Gilda puppet thing that Cypher talks about. It's so funny.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very like one note villain. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah. Okay. I. Well, what about the Han stuff? Did you like they came back? Like, did you like the
Uh,
explanation they did? Because that's
I
mine.
mean,
Because
the explanation, no. The fact that he was back, yes.
okay, okay.
Yeah. The only characters that I like really liked throughout the series were probably Han and Roman.
Mm, okay.
Maybe Shaw, just because I like Statham.
Yeah. Oh my God. Uh,
So,
yeah, that's tough. I mean, for me, it's like Dom, Hobbs, Shaw, and Brian, and then
mhm.
Han. I
Yeah.
mean, I probably put Han as number one. Really.
Okay. Yeah. Han is the best.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Okay. Anything else with F9? Um,
No, I think we've already covered it.
okay. Let me get into my number seven very quickly.
Hmm.
Is Tokyo Drift, the Fast and Furious
Okay.
Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I put this above Too Fast, Too Furious. I think for me, it's a very uncontroversial film, but it's the most important because it set up the things that you're going to see in later films.
Hmm.
And this is the team that's going to carry that over, you know, with Justin Lin and Chris Morgan, that
Right.
they wrote this, directed and wrote this film, going to continue on until when six or eight specifically set up what a Fast and Furious should be, and
Hmm.
so that's really good. Yeah, I like everything about this. I think Han is a great character, as I mentioned in when we got to your ranking the Tokyo Drift. I thought it could have been a lot better if you have Han to focus, and unfortunately we didn't. So that's the big con for Tokyo Drift for me,
Hmm.
and so which is not good. Um, but I love everything about Japan slash the Asian culture and Tokyo. It's such a great location, so it
Hmm.
was really great that they took advantage of that. They shot it over there, but then some of it is actually in L.A. to just like make it look like Tokyo,
Hmm.
um, which is very impressive. I think it's the most grounded, like it's the most grounded like Fast and Furious movie,
Hmm.
behind Fast Five, and I think it doesn't go too far with the themes of. Well, it doesn't do anything about family, like at all. Like
Hmm.
I I think it's more about taking responsibility of your actions, and that's the whole point of the movie. So it's also another thing about that's very unique about Tokyo Drift. It's not really about the themes of family of that you
Hmm.
usually get with the Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the big thing. So, but anything else, I think it's a great third movie that's just very refreshing but different. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into your number five.
Number 5 was Fast Five.
Whoa, you put Fast Five in number five?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah. There's some good like action scenes. I
Yeah.
thought this was the
Okay.
first one where it started getting like really stupid, um,
Mm-hmm.
which I loved. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just really. I really loved the like genre change that the
Yes.
series took.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I thought the movies were a lot more enjoyable after that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, okay, this is the one in Brazil. I
Yeah.
loved
Yeah.
all of the heist stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I loved that they still insisted on using cars for the heist, even though it didn't make sense. Um,
Yes. Yep.
the scene where they're driving through Rio with the giant safe dragging behind the two cars,
Hmm.
um, incredible. That was a great action scene.
Yeah.
Um, the reveal that they swapped the gigantic safe with an identical gigantic safe,
Yes.
a stroke of genius.
Yes. Oh my
Um,
god.
very plausible. I loved it. Um, yeah, I like The Rock's weird goatee. Um, I like
Okay.
that they brought back the guy from the first movie who is kind of a
Yes.
jerk.
Yep.
I liked that he still had the scar from the really traumatic thing that happened at the end of the first movie.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yep. Um, yeah, I liked the two guys that were just on the team for this movie.
Hmm.
And their
Yeah.
like bomb in the bathroom scene. That was funny.
Oh my god.
Um,
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, and their last scene with the conceal is funny.
mm-hmm.
It's very hilarious.
Yeah. Um, yeah. It was a good one. It's a good movie.
Yeah. Wow. I'm very shocked to see Fast Five at number five.
Do you think
Not
it would
pun
be
intended.
higher?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't want
Or
to.
is it
I mean,
number? Hold
yeah.
on. I guess it's my number 4, right?
Okay.
Because I have one fewer than you.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Yeah. One for each
Yeah.
of you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah, it's my number 4.
Oh. Okay. Well, what's your number five?
Well, that was F9. I
Oh, F
we've
nine.
we've
Oh. Okay.
done we've already done 5 through 9 for me.
Oh. Okay. Okay. That's
Yeah.
fine. Oh man. That's yeah. I'm a
Yeah.
little behind.
That's
Okay.
alright.
So we're number four. Yeah. My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Oh.
because your list is one longer than mine.
Yeah, yeah, that's my
Yeah.
bad. Okay, yeah. No,
Yeah.
thank you for correcting that because
No
I was like,
worries.
oh my god. Yeah, it's also the names of the Fast and movies.
Oh man, they're so confused. The fact that the Fast and the Furious is the first one, and then Fast and Furious is the fourth one, um, that
Yes,
was
I
a
know.
mistake. I
I
have no
know.
idea who agreed to let that happen, but
Yeah, and
yeah.
this. I'm sorry, not to go outside of it. Like every franchise does that, and that's so annoying. Halloween did this
Hmm.
two times. They did this with the Rob Zombie one and the David Gordon Green one.
Mm.
It's so annoying. And then Scream did it, but at least that made sense. I mean, there were many commentary about the equal shortened titles, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Oh my god, it's so annoying. Yeah, yeah. And then without the no numerals, it's like kind of ridiculous. Like you know, like the fate of the Furious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like oh
Did
god,
anyone
yeah.
even die in that one? Like,
I mean,
there was nothing involving fate. I guess. What's her name died? Tom's ex,
Isabel. Yeah,
Isabel.
yeah,
Yeah, she
yeah,
died. So there was someone met their fate in that movie. Um,
yeah. Exactly.
for now.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
they bring her back in 11. She has like a
Oh,
cyborg eye.
wait. It's funny you're bringing it up. They didn't do that in the recent movie I saw. They actually did something that connected to her. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. So anyway, um, okay. To just save some time, let me get through my six and five, and then I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
to my number four.
Sounds good.
So yeah, because number six is the new movie Fast 10.
Hmm.
This is going to be my non spoiler review. so let me do this now.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was very surprised. I put this very high on my list at number 6. But for two reasons. Number one, I highly recommend watching this movie. I actually enjoyed this more than F9, completely, because it continues the crazy action scenes, which is great. It continues the ridiculousness of retconning, uh, from previous films and expanded upon that. So in this case, they actually expanded more on the Fast Five
Hmm.
movie, especially because Jason Momoa's character is connected to a major villain. So yeah, if you've seen the
Okay.
trailers, it's kind of obvious. So
Yeah, yeah, I did see the trailer before Guardians.
yeah, yeah. Oh yes, yes, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, and it's just it's Fast and Furious. I this movie had it, I will say this, and a lot of people are saying this. I mean, Jason Momoa's villain, Dante Reyes, is the best villain of the Fast and Furious movies. Like
That was
he,
the impression I got from the trailer. He seemed like he's like doing a really good job.
yes, I you can't believe it. Like, oh my god, I really want to see this movie again with you and John
Hmm.
because it's just so over the top in a good way.
Hmm.
It's oh my god, like he is the Joker for the Fast and Furious. That's like how funny. Yes, that's like he is the best villain for Fast and Furious. Um, and it's just Jason Momoa. It's just like this is the best acting that Jason Momoa has done, and you really see him as an actor here. It's like he's
Hmm.
taking risks in such a good way, and it's really great. That's one of the things I love about this new movie. Yeah, like it's really great, and they like he actually is a great equal to Dom actually, like because of his like quirkiness and like evilness, like his over the topness.
Hmm.
It really helps to juggle the seriousness of Dom and all that. Um, but yeah, so yeah, and then so that's like my biggest positive. Um, the biggest negative and con is just it's a very messy film. Like it's very obvious. It's like a first chapter. Like it's like a part one of this ending saga.
Right.
Like you know, it's really annoying.
That does
Where
sound. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like it's not like I mean, I brought up Infinity War. Like, when Infinity War, like, okay, it was like you're gonna get a second chapter, but at the same time, Infinity War felt like a complete movie.
Right.
So
Thanos had like an arc. There was like an actual plot
yeah,
that
yeah,
had a beginning, middle, end.
exactly. And that's the issue. And I bring this up constantly. The thing I don't like about the recent movies is separating Dom from the crew.
Hmm.
And here I understand it because it's part one, but because we had the previous films that they, they did it, it was very annoying that we did it again. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, and then uh, what I heard here compared to the other two, from 8 and 9,
Hmm.
is none of the characters got a lot to do. Unfortunately, I don't want to spoil things, but like a lot of characters get short shifted and just
Okay.
yeah, it's just really a shame. Um, so yeah, and it's really bad, particularly with the Roman segment. So
It's too bad.
yeah, so it's really bad. And he's with around characters that I like, and they just don't get anything. It's really bad. Um, uh, what else? It's just to bring up that very quickly. That and then well, John Cena. Like I actually like John Cena here more than the next
Hmm.
movie. Just to let you know, I thought his part here was much better, and they do something here that was very like, it's like I wish that, yeah, whatever. Well, we had to see the movie. So I can talk about it,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, it's a great movie. Like, but you know, they still have flaws as a Fast and Furious movie. It's, I mean, ever since Paul Walker passed away, it just lacked the classic Fast and Furious thematic that really needs to be there with the crew.
Mm,
And just Dom carrying over this franchise isn't enough. Like, you need someone else to balance that.
right.
You know,
Hmm.
yeah. So that's a big thing. Okay. So that's my number six, and then I get to my number five. This is where we talk a little bit longer because this one is a big one. Number five, I have The Fate of the Furious. So, I'm kind of curious. Is The Fate of Furious in your list, Will?
Yeah, I mean, all the ones that I've seen are on my
Okay.
list. Fate of the Furious is actually the next one.
Okay, number three. Okay, that's not that bad. I actually
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I mean, The Fate of the Furious. I mean, what to say? This so we haven't discussed the directors. So, like, the first one was Rob Cohen, and then the second one I mentioned was Jonathan Sligan.
Hmm.
From Tokyo Drift to Fast Six is Justin Lin, and he comes back for nine. This one is directed by F. Gary Gray, who did Straight Outta Compton. He did the remake of The Italian Job that started Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and he did Set It Off, the Jed Pinkman Smith movie with Queen Latifah. Um, yeah, great. He's a very versatile director, and that's one of the big highlights for this movie. It's like he really like gives this movie personality. Like you know how the Risk Brothers does the like tile cars of the locations, just
Hmm.
to let you know. Like he does it, but he does it in a cool way. Like it's like, oh, we're in Cuba, and like he like you see the tile in the water. Like
Hmm.
that's so cool. Or New York. Um, but yeah, like this movie is so like so badass. Like it continues what you like about the Fast and Furious. Yes, Paul Walker is missing here, but I think also besides Paul Walker is The Rock. Like The Rock is like you need The Rock there
Hmm.
because the last movies is like we need The Rock. He just brings energy to the screen.
Yeah,
But yeah, you agree?
yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that's been missing since F9. Um, yeah, I just, oh my god, everything about this movie. I mean, the Jason Statham saving the baby is like one of my favorite scenes in the
So
movie.
good. I
Yes,
forgot that that was in this one. Yeah.
yes, it's that one.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, oh my god, like my favorite part was when the guy shoot the baby and he's like, "What are you like? Are you, you I don't know what you say. Like, why you're gonna shoot at a baby? You sick bastard!
Yeah.
It's so funny. I love it. Oh my god, it's great. And then you got Shaw's brother come back. Like that was cool, And
Hmm.
yeah, I know a lot of people
Oh,
don't. Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah.
It's Shaw. Yeah.
Oh man, the reveal in the opening
Mm-hmm.
where Jason Statham's like talking to his brother,
Mm-hmm.
and then he
Yeah.
walks out of the hospital and he's like completely destroyed everybody. Oh, so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. 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 Oh, that's in Fury 7. Just
Uh,
let you know. Yeah. That's the opening.
oh, is that the end of Furious? Oh no, you're right. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's when
sorry.
he talks to
Again, they
yeah.
all blurred together.
No. It's okay. It's okay. I mean that's that kind of the scene just to show you the main villain. It's like he's
Right.
being
Yeah.
serious. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So that and then of course the submarine. I mean the
Oh,
ice.
yep.
Oh my god. Like
I honestly I enjoyed it more than them going into space.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I I mean yeah. It's just great. I mean it's because I mean come on. It cannot be the line. Like it cannot be the Rock getting out of his truck and then
Uh huh.
tried to lift the rocket and then hit it to the bad guy's car.
Yeah.
You know, like that's crazy. And then I love his line, like "We need a bigger truck."
Hmm.
Like that still gets me. Um, yeah. Like another one is the Sonic cars.
Hmm.
Like that's a really great iconic scene. Which is really cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and then the Cuba, the I mentioned the Cuba, the Cuba scene,
Hmm.
the car race. That's like really great. Apparently, that was like the first film to be like actually shoot in Cuba.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, it was right after the Obama administration like eased ties with Cuba and we're
mm,
out allowed there briefly.
yeah, hello,
Yeah, I
briefly.
don't know. I think we're not allowed there anymore. I want to double check that.
Yeah, like that's funny. It's funny that I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
But
no, we're good now.
we're
I
good.
think.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh my gosh.
it's a little complicated.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
usual
you
with
can't go
countries.
there on vacation, but you can get like a another kind of visa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Weird.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's weird. That's a
Yeah,
shame
but
because
for a bit during the Obama administration, you could vacation in Cuba.
okay, that's cool. Well,
Yeah.
Dom got a chance to do that.
Yeah.
So it's funny, and you see Dom's influences in Cuba. He gives the guy his respect, and
Hmm.
he helps him out towards the end. So that's funny.
Yeah.
Um, that's true. So yeah. So there's great scenes about Fast and the Furious. I mean, The Rock is great here. We see his daughter again because
Hmm.
she got introduced in Fast Seven. Um,
Yep.
yeah. So and this movie is also important because it set up my fourth, in the list, Hobbs and Shaw in the movie.
Hmm.
So this of the chemistry, which is great. I mean, the jailbreak is also iconic. Like that's a great
Yeah.
action scene. Oh my god.
Ah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Mr. Nobody, that's the other thing. Like I love Kurt Russell. It's great that he had more to do here.
Hmm.
Um, I just love it. My favorite line in this movie is James Statham saying that the Rock shirt is a little tight to tie him. It's because it's circulating his lungs.
Hmm.
It's a great comeback. But yeah. Fast and Furious is a great movie. The cons of it is, of course, what was that? The cons, obviously, Dom, not being with the family, him be turning against it is a big no.
Hmm.
Um, I don't mind it. I, I mean, if you see the film, it's like he's being forced by a villain, and he has this kid.
Right.
Um, I I'm fine with that in this movie, but the other movies, the next two movies, it was not a good idea to continue to have Dom separate from the crew. But here
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's my opinion of Fate of Fears. Oh, we got Hail Mary in this movie. This is
Yeah.
very
Yep.
yeah. That's another thing. Shaw's
Uh,
mom's here. She's become a recurring character. I like her. We haven't discussed this in F9. Like her scene in F9 is the best thing about F9.
hmm.
Like like because you see, Vin Diesel not being Dom, like he's smiling because of like he's next to the Academy Award winner of Helen Mirren driving a car. It's so what was the word, like affectionate, because
Yeah.
like it's so funny. Like the introduction of Hail Mary in this franchise is something I never expected to like, and that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So we're at our number four, right?
Uh,
So
at your number four. Yeah.
yeah, you did your four.
Yeah. My four was Fast Five.
Okay, I'll do my number four. So I have Hobbs and Shaw, and maybe I should not spoil too much for you because I want you to see this movie.
Yeah. No, I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah. So briefly, I'll just discuss this, and which is fine. It's a good spinoff. I think it does a great thing about spinoff. It continues the strengths from the last movie that I like from Fate and the Furious. Putting The Rock and Statham together is really great. They just are like just battling each other every time in the screen. It's still great. The cast here they have here is really great. I mean, Vanessa Kirby
I love
is
Vanessa Kirby.
yes, so she's here. Not it's not a spoil. Like she's a sister
I remember
of
her from the trailer. Yeah, I
yeah,
knew that before I'd watched any of the movies.
yeah. So
Yeah,
she's a sister in the film. She's great. She has good chemistry with The Rock. So that's good.
good.
Yeah, so that's really great. And the surprise. So the greatest thing, I just like if not, the Fate of Fears and this, I rewatched these so many times with my family.
Hmm.
The great thing about House of Shaw is really they do continue the strengths of family, and they actually do something in a very general way. Not to spoil things, like
Hmm.
there's something connected to the Rock, Luke Hobbs character, and it's really generally nice, and it's actually the best thing about the third act, which
Yeah,
is great.
I think I've seen this in the trailers.
Yeah, it's the Simone
Yeah.
scene. It's great, and it pays up something that it's actually genuine, and you know it's really genuine, and that's one of the things I like about this movie. Something a lot of people like sort of complain about the recent films is how overly serious it is.
Uh huh.
This movie, it's not taking itself seriously, but it knows how to take its time to be, like, relax take, a very, like, general, what's the word, like, humanity
Hmm.
in scenes. That's important to, like, elevate the art that we're going through with certain characters. So, like, that's been, like, really good. And that's also applied to Shaw. Well, Shaw is going through a plot line as well, and that's been like that's actually satisfying in the film as well.
Good. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's good. So that's why it's high on my list because I think it's a much proper film. It's a summer blockbuster
Hmm.
that it knows what it is. So that's a good thing. Um, Another best thing is Ezra Alba as the main villain.
Hmm.
the I mean, you see in the trailer, the Black Superman thing is funny. He's really great. He knows what kind of movie he's doing. Like he has this I don't know if you know this. He's a DJ slash singer.
Yeah.
Uh, he has his song here in this movie while they're chasing while he's chasing our heroes. Um, yeah, he's a great villain. Not to spoil things. This movie also have big cameos that you did not expect.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, so there's three, and they're in from Deadpool. So give you a
Okay.
hint
Hmm.
because of this was directed by David Leitch, one of the John Wick directors. So
Okay.
yeah. So very surprised cameos here and there. But yeah, con. I unfortunately this movie is very long. I think there's some trimming you can done in the film, but what are you gonna do? But overall, it's a fun movie. Another con is the buddy cop formula. I The thing is despite this is Hobbs and Shaw, it doesn't follow too much of the buddy cop formula. So if you want more of having one character the serious type and then the one character funny, you're not gonna get that with Hobbs and Shaw. Like they
Hmm.
both hate each other, and it's like they're so similar. I mean, that's the thing. And so
Right.
it's kind of funny. So yeah, but overall, it's a great spin-off from Fast and Furious, and I highly recommend watching it. So yeah,
All right.
okay, go to your number three.
All right. Number three was Fate of the Furious,
Hmm.
which we had already talked about. But um,
I want to hear your thoughts on Fate of
yeah,
Furious, buddy.
I thought it had some great action scenes. Um, I
Mhm.
really like the submarine chase. I loved the Shaw in the airplane with the baby.
Yes.
Um, yeah, we got the introduction of Helen Mirren
Yeah.
um, in her ridiculous Cockney accent.
Yes.
It's so
She still
thick.
does that.
Yeah, which make I mean, yeah, they definitely. I wonder.
I
because like Luke Evans doesn't have that accent, but that is Jason Statham's like natural accent. So
yeah,
I wonder,
yeah, they're very
like
inconsistent.
when they, yeah,
Yeah,
I wonder when they made that like character choice that the Shaws were gonna have that.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I speaking of Helen Mirren, she's in
Mm-hmm.
House of Shaw as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, briefly. Um, Vanessa Kirby, the sister, Helen Shaw. Yeah, Helen Shaw. Doesn't have an
She
accent.
doesn't have an accent.
No, so
Okay.
it's very funny
Yeah.
that they have that. But yeah, oh my god, I'm now kind of like yeah, they don't have that
Mm-hmm.
accent. So
Sorry.
yeah, so the one thing I didn't bring up was Cipher. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's something we. This was also the introduction of Cipher in the franchise.
Right.
Yeah. What's your opinion on that character? I have mixed feelings. Uh,
Yeah. I like Charlize Theron, and I
mhm,
feel like she makes a good villain, but I don't
yeah.
think Cypher is particularly interesting or well written. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't discussed like looks. Like, I mean, this like
She's
she
got
has
some really bad haircuts in
yeah,
these
like
movies.
rep. Yeah, I mean, her haircut in the new movie Fast 10 is better.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's better looking than these last two. This one is just weird, like dreadlocks. Um,
Yeah,
uh, uh, uh,
that
like
opening scene in Cuba is ridiculous.
yeah, like okay, like I get you can do that, but then the whole movie's like she has dreadlocks. I'm like, what the heck? And what is it with her? With Richie in her lines? Like it's the opposite of Bane, or like Tom Harley. Like
Mm-hmm.
Tom Harley has like he mumbles. It's like I was like, what are you saying, Tom Harley? Like I don't understand what you're saying in The Revenant or
Mm-hmm.
Dark Knight Rises and Venom. Like I don't understand what you're saying at all. It's like
Mm-hmm.
here's like, what are you saying, Cipher? Like you're talking very low. I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh god. I mean, I kudos to get very talented actress to be a main villain.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I not to spoil too much. She's in Fast 10. I don't like. I don't think this series really knows what they're doing with her. Like,
Yeah, I that is definitely it seems to be a problem. Is they don't want to get rid of any cast members, so they keep bringing them back, even though they have nothing to do with them.
yeah,
I
I
mean, they even I we can get into it when we talk about Furious 7. Well, I guess it's relevant for F9 too. Like they even keep bringing Paul Walker back.
yeah,
Like his car pulls up at the end of F9, which
yeah.
like
That
makes sense in universe, but it just feels really weird to like keep that character around because like you can't get Paul Walker to play him again. You
yeah,
know, um,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the car pulling up feels very much uh, like in the new Sex and the City reboot on
mhm,
HBO. Like one of the actresses didn't want to come back, um, but
mhm,
apparently they are having Carrie, yeah, Carrie, like text the character um,
okay,
to be like, hey, like next time they're like keeping the door open for the actress to return for like the
yeah,
next
yeah,
season if she wants, and it feels like they're doing that for Paul Walker, even though he like physically can't come back.
yeah.
So it's just weird to have them like keep like keeping that door open.
I know. It's I mean, it's a tough thing. I you, you can acknowledge it or not acknowledge it, and either way
Yeah.
is fine. You
Mm.
know, I that's actually good you brought that up because I actually like the way Fate of the Furious addressed that. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I guess this was a specific criticism about
F9, yeah,
F9.
yeah, and I totally forgot about that in F9 and bringing that up in my ranking and stuff like that. Yeah, I did. So, it's not weird. Like at least they cut it very quickly. You know, it was like okay, you know, it's because it's the end of the movie. Is like okay, everything is settled now, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's fine. So, um, I I they haven't crossed the line. If we're gonna see him in physical form, that would be going too far, and I don't
Yes.
like that. Like
Yeah, that would.
Rogue One situation, I don't like.
Yeah.
So that's my main thing. It's like I don't like I'm fine with recasting an actor, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're gonna just replicate them in CGI form, and it's like no, don't do that. Just please don't do
Yeah, that's uncomfortable.
yeah, I don't need that. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't bothered that in F9. I think the series has been sort of smartly doing a good job of acknowledging that, but it's kind of weird that they bring back Mia. Like
Yeah.
that part is a little weird. It's like why were like endangering her in the series? You know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
she
Like
has like a
she has like 2 kids and a husband and like just like a happy home life, and you're dragging her back into it.
yeah. Speaking of stupid and this dumb, like F9.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like um, what was it like? Okay, like Mia let Brian take care of the kids, and then I think I remember when Letty joins up with Roman, Tesh, and Ramsey
Mm-hmm.
to find Mister Nobody, right? And Dom wanted to stay behind, but then the minute after that scene, like after we get that information, and then the next scene is you see him pulling out his car, and did he say that he left little Brian to Brian as well?
Right.
Like really, you're engaging not only your brother-in-law, it's like you're also dating his family and your family.
Yep.
It's like I don't. It's just like that's the thing I don't like about F9. It's like they're really toeing the line for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and Fast 10 briefly, like it's fine, but it's still question why we have Mia here. So it's just yeah, it's a situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, we speaking. What else? Fate Fears did. Do you like the style of the film? Well, we haven't talked about the music. I actually want to bring that up. Like, what do you thought about the music of Fate of Fears?
Yeah, no, I thought it was good.
Yeah,
Um,
the license movies are really great in
mhm.
these films. So, I just want to bring it up because I know we have to discuss. Um, we will see you again. The song for Furious 7.
Yeah,
So
which I
yeah.
did not know was from Furious 7. I just
Okay.
knew that song from like existing in the world. Um,
Yeah.
and then we
Oh.
were watching it, and I was like, "Oh, it's this song." And then like someone said that it was written for this movie, and I was like, "That feels wrong." But apparently it
Oh my.
was.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I it I mean, I see where you're coming from because this song was very big in
It was
2019.
huge. Yeah,
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, Will.
yeah,
If you haven't seen the movie, like, I this was your introduction to your Fast and Furious movie. Like, this was the Dark Knight. If
yeah. This was the big one. I remember when it came out. It was a big deal.
Yeah, it's crazy. Um, yeah. I just want to bring that up. And we'll discuss more of the we will see you again very soon.
Yep.
But yeah. So anything else to say about Fate and the Furious?
No.
All right. So okay. My number three is Fast and Furious 6.
Okay.
Yeah. So like okay, 5 to 7 are like the top tier Fast and Furious movies. If you're a very diehard, super nerd Fast and Furious fan,
Okay.
which I am, and you're the newbie, Will.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Definitely not a diehard, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So, which is fine. I mean, at least they're in proper lists, whatever, you know.
Hmm.
Um, I think I know what's their number one, and it makes a lot of sense, okay, which is fine.
Okay.
So anyway, just really quickly, you know, Fast Six. I mean, I brought it before. It's the middle chapter of this new trilogy.
Hmm.
It's it's continuing the success of switching genres for the Fast and Furious movies. So like this movie leans very heavily on the super spy stuff, which was
Hmm.
great. You know, and I agree with you, Will. I like the juxtapositions between the villains. Like I like the villains are no longer the drug dealers and all that.
Hmm.
So it was refreshing to have Shaw. Like this really set up a lot of things for Fear 7. Like it was cool to have the brother of Shaw to set up the main villain that we're gonna get personally from
Hmm.
owner Shaw, you know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Deborah Shaw. So that was really cool what they did. It was very nice and like and lead into the family aspect, like you know, and that gonna bite the Toretto family in general in
Hmm.
Fear 7. So it's really cool. And I mean, brought up the action scenes. Like this movie continues the strengths of great action scenes. The tank scenes is really great, iconic. I mean, the there's Letty and Dom flying off the bridge,
Hmm.
and it's just ridiculous. I mean, the road, the airplane launch sequence is iconic and just like ridiculous. And a lot of people don't discuss the car chasing we got in London. This was mainly based on London, and
Hmm.
they did a really good job of continuing the chase scenes and traditional like car chase spy stuff, which was great. So,
Yeah.
and speaking of London, F10 goes back to London, which was funny because
Okay.
I was in London at the time, so it was funny the scene that London was in the new one.
Hmm.
Yeah, and speaking of Shaw, like he's a great villain. I actually like him. He's definitely top three villain or top four if we do a
Hmm.
villain ranking.
Yeah.
Um, it like Luke Evans is a great actor. I really liked him. He was great in Beauty and the Beast as the villain as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
I thought that was great casting, and so I think he's really great in this film. And it was great that he came back for Fate and Furious. I wish he came back in Hobbs and Shaw, which he doesn't return in that movie. And it was weird they didn't acknowledge him, which was
Yeah.
weird,
Is
but
he still
whatever.
in a coma?
No, I mean he's out of the coma by
Okay.
8. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, Hobbs and Shaw comes out after 8, so it's weird that they didn't bring him back in that movie. Whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so Fast and Furious 6, good movie. Nothing to complain about. I don't have nitpicks. I mean, I, I, I mean, it's I think the lady thing it's always going to be difficult to bring her back and have a satisfying way to bring her back. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
so it's what it is, and I think it's fine. So yeah, okay. Now number two. What's your number two?
My number two is Too Fast, Too Furious.
Wow, that high. Okay.
It's yeah. I love this one. Um, it was very campy, in a very
Mm-hmm.
fun way.
Yeah.
I thought all the characters were solid. I thought there were some great action scenes, like the cars coming out of the garage, the
Yep.
final car jumping onto the boat, some great races. Yeah, it really felt like it took the first movie and then elevated it. I
Yeah.
thought that Paul Walker and Roman had really good chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's just really fun. It reminded me a lot of Mission Impossible 2, which is like,
Yeah.
it's the black sheep of the Mission Impossible movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because John Woo's directorial style is so different from the rest of the movies.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's also just like a really fun, campy movie, in much the same way.
Oh
Um,
my god. Yeah.
yeah, and it's always had like a soft spot. I've always had a soft spot for it. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just same deal with Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. It doesn't have my like favorite scene from Mission Impossible 2 when the main villain discovers his henchman like he actually killed his henchman
Mm-hmm.
because he was disguised as Ethan Hunt, and
Uh-huh.
you know when one of your crew members know what kind of movie they're making, like Hans Zimmer knew what he was making, the score for that
Mm-hmm.
film,
Mm-hmm.
and that score while he like the main villain is like slowly discovering that Ethan that he killed wasn't Ethan, and that was just his buddy.
Yeah.
The music starts to be very over the top and dramatic, and he pulls out the bat the you know the mask that the IF team do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he say no. Yeah, like Too Fast Too Furious doesn't have that, unfortunately. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so oh god, Miss Impossible 2. Crazy movie. Yeah. A lot of doves. Man.
Yeah. That's the director's signature move. Is to have a lot
Yeah,
of doves.
yeah. I know, but I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
and
No, it's a lot of fun.
yeah. Oh my god, so many doves like in the compound that you
Yeah, it
kind
makes no sense for there to be doves there.
yeah.
It's fantastic. The slow
Yeah.
mo shot of him like walking through the hallway with all the doves, all the
Yeah.
CGI doves, the early 2000s CGI doves.
Oh my god. It was oh my god, I can't believe they did that. And like his
Yeah,
hair, like it's so 2000s.
yeah.
Oh my
Oh
god.
man, the opening shot where he's like free climbing the
Oh my
um,
god, yeah.
it's so ridiculous.
Just yeah.
Uh,
Anyway, Too Fast, Too
yeah,
Furious.
yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. Um. What else? What this movie did? Oh, they brought up the FBI. That was from the
Hmm.
first movie. So that
Yeah,
was kind of cool. That's another thing I want to bring up.
yeah.
So
Like his like boss is
superior.
still there. Yeah.
Yeah. From the first movie. Yeah. That was kind of cool.
Hmm.
That's one thing about the series that they at least return characters we know. Like,
Yeah. I liked
yeah,
how confident Brian was too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the freshest thing about this movie is that he was more confident,
Hmm.
which I like. And you see Brian grow as a character throughout the series.
Yeah.
Like that's the one positive thing about Brian as a character is that he's very consistent. In
Yeah,
his
he is.
appearance, and like you understand where he's coming from.
Hmm.
So yeah. Uh, okay. So anything else with Too Fast, Too Furious?
Nope.
So okay. I think I know what's your number one, and
Yep.
this is my number two, and that's Figure 7.
Yeah.
So this is a tough one. I mean, everyone puts 7 or 5 as their number one, and I mean, it's very tough. I mean, I like if you put a gun on me and say, what's your favorite Fast and Furious movie?" Like at all time,
Hmm.
it's like, Fast 5 or 7. I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, first off, we have to address the Paul Walker death. I've been sort of bringing that up, and it was very incredible sad that Paul
Hmm.
passed away in a very horrific accident. I cannot believe this is 10 years since the accident. I mean, it happened in 2013, I think. Some correct my
Mm.
timeline. Oh, 9 years. Oof. Um, anyway, it was really sad. Yeah, he died, and yeah, Furious 7 was the Dark Knight for this franchise. I mean, it was a big culture phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I don't like I never saw that since the Dark Knight, and so it was a big deal. This movie does everything right, but like one thing that it has over Fast Six, and is the emotional resonance is there. Like it had a huge big stake. Like it felt everything was at stake for the family,
Mm-hmm.
and so like with Shaw and Jermaine Hushan as his villain is here, who's also great too in this movie. They are frightening. Like they're the most frightening villains we had since Too Fast Too Furious villain um for a long time, and I think Jason Simmons' character, Decker Shaw, is really great. He's a great villain for Dom, and Hobbs as well later in the franchise. Great
Mm-hmm.
addition to the franchise as in general. For Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Speaking of directors, Justin Lin didn't return for this one because they wanted to make this right away after Fast Six, and put it out in 2014. That didn't happen, and unfortunately, Justin Lin couldn't do it because it's just timing.
Mm-hmm.
So he bowed out, and so we got James Wan. James Wan directed this, and come on, like James Wan is a great horror director. He did Aquaman, that was great. Um, the pressure he was in, trying to not only get this film completed, trying to get the stuff that you had left from Paul Walker, like, and trying to balance everything what's going on in this film and trying to be a fast food movie is really a big compliment from
Mm-hmm.
James Wan in this movie. It's incredible, and he pushed the action scenes and the ridiculousness to a high level. Like
Yes.
the, I mean the car parachute is so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so. And that's one of my favorite Roman scenes when Rowan just didn't want to go out from the plane, and then Dom forced Chess to like pull him out from the plane with the parachute. That's so
Mm-hmm.
hilarious. Um, but yeah, and then the Dubai tree tower flying car.
So good.
Oh my god, that's like,
Incredible.
come on, it's so crazy. And then the LA chase scene, like
Mm-hmm.
that's like so good. Like I mean, James Wan really stepped up and made like another like when you compare action scenes, these are the ones you have to compare because they're so good
Yeah,
and so
and you got
good.
that like hand-to-hand combat scene with Paul
Yes,
Walker and that like martial artist.
yeah,
It was so good. A lot of like
yeah,
creative uses of the space.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah. That's another thing I like about this. James Wan really does like he does really great camera work in the action scenes, like in like the Hoss versus Shaw fight scene. That's
Mm-hmm.
great. You see Jason Statham like getting like what do you say? Like he gets tugged down by the rock, and like you see the camera flip just as well. He's flipping down to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Like great like camera work from Juan and his team. So but yeah, and then yeah, and just wrapping up Brian's character was so touching.
Yeah.
Uh, oh my god, I get so touching when Ryan gets a call from Mia about what's gonna go down,
Mm-hmm.
and the baby, he's gonna get another baby, and then they talk about the sandwich from the first movie,
Mm-hmm.
and oh god, that's so it hits you so hard because he's no longer with us, and it's oh my god, it's so sad, and
Yeah.
the ending, oh my god, the ending was so great, it's
Yeah.
just
It was.
yeah. But yeah, I don't want to say much because I know I think this is your number one. So, but yeah. So, you want to get into your number one? So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the action in this one is just top notch, and that's what you're coming to these movies for, or at least the later ones.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and then Jason Statham as the villain is incredible. I mentioned it earlier, but that opening scene in the hospital is
yes.
yeah, just a great reveal. Really, like you really like understand the character, and you know that he's going to be a great villain. Like in the first scene that he appears in. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
just incredible. And then um, yeah, I thought they handled Paul Walker's death really well. Like they really, it was definitely hard to um, incorporate that and make it work, and they did a really good job. I think they
yeah.
lucked out that the storyline that they were giving to that character for that movie was that he was like kind of no longer in a position to live that life.
No, no.
But yeah,
Yeah,
um, but yeah, no, they handled it very well.
yeah, yeah. It's a miracle they were pulled that off.
Hmm.
It really helps with the ending with the song. We will see you
Yeah.
again. You know, with the montage of the clips of Paul Walker throughout the franchise.
Hmm.
Like, oh god, that like hits you, and you know, I I'm very surprised you didn't know that song was from this
I
movie.
had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, but it just shows how, like, I mean, like, you know, songs can transition to pop culture. You know, like, you
Yeah.
know, if you didn't know the song was from a movie or like a TV show, like I didn't know the the show the Greatest American Hero song was part of a TV show. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so iconic. I thought it was a very big hit '80s song, but I didn't know if that was like a big popular song from a TV show.
Hmm.
You know, like, or something like Happy Days theme songs. Like, you could get that's like a, you know, song that's literally from an artist, but not from a TV show. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's one of the key things. This song was so resonant with what was going on with the film and all that.
Hmm.
So that's really great. I speaking of this movie, I mean, it introduced Mr. Nobody.
Hmm.
Kurt Russell was great. Like, oh my god, I love the running gag of the Coronas and exchange to try these Belgian beers.
Hmm.
Oh my god, that kills me. He was a great addition to the Fast and Furious, and it annoys me. Like, where is he? Like, you have to bring him back in the second part of the Fast and 10 franchise. Like, ugh,
Oh, is he not in 10?
no. They
Oh, okay.
it it's not a spoil, but like Brie Larson's character Tesh is the daughter of Mr. Nobody.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll see. It's so weird what they're doing with Mr. Nobody.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, I guess. I mean, one day I'll say he's doing excuse me, a smart thing over what Nick Fury did and Shield and Hydra.
Hmm. Hmm.
So he's actually doing a smart thing, staying low.
Hmm.
Anyway, yeah, what else was well, Ramsey was introduced here. That's another big thing. So I thought Ramsey the hacker was a good addition.
Hmm.
Yeah. Favorite moments, comedy moments. My favorite was Roman with the birthday uh, scene when he has to
Hmm.
start singing birthday. That is so funny. It's one of the best comedy beats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Anything else with Theory 7?
No, I think we've hit all the major points.
All right. All right. So obviously, mine number one is Fast Five. Um,
Hmm.
I still love this because this was the turning point for the Fast and Furious movie. Um, I it just balanced everything right. from the movie. Like it handles the comedy, the action, the ridiculousness, and then the drama well compared to all the Fast and Furious movies we've been discussed. You know, with the exception was Fear 7. Like that came the closest to handle all that well. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think Fast Five does it better because first off, the story is just yeah ridiculous, but it's simple. You understand what's going on. There's like a objective from the characters why they want to do it. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
um, yeah, you know. So you know the change of the street racing to the heist, you know, action level of Sandra makes sense. That's a good way. The introduction to Rock to this franchise was a big deal. You know, him being sort of the, you know, not the main antagonist, but the main villain for Dom and the team for in terms of
Mm-hmm.
authorities was really good. I mean, when he comes out, just yeah, I mean, forget about the toupee. Like he's sweating this whole movie. I'm surprised he didn't
He,
mention
yeah, he really is. It was definitely a thing that we commented on while we were watching it. He was just constantly wet, um, and no
yes,
one else around him is.
yes. Oh my god,
Yeah,
it's so weird, but it's
it
so
was a running
funny.
joke that he had like some kind of gland issue.
Oh my god.
Wait,
He's like a car being raised, like he's like overheating. that's that's the point of that. Yeah. Oh my god, The Rock is great in this movie. He like this is my favorite performance of The Rock. Like still, I mean, I
mm-hmm.
liked him in the other installments, but like this is like my favorite performance from him. I mean, come on, like his the F bomb he did is so the
Mm-hmm.
best. I mean, come on. Uh, yeah, and it's just like it set up everything about what you know about Fast and Furious. Family, the barbecue, like you got a barbecue in a factory,
Mm-hmm.
and what else? Like redemption for villains or characters you know. So
Mm-hmm.
in this case, Vincent, you know, got a redemption arc, which was great, and you know, because he had a kid and all that, like that really worked well in Fast Five.
Yeah.
I was, you know, so that was really great, and you know, and the villain, I mean, hey, you know, uh, Hayes, you know, despite he's just another drug cartel villain he had at least interesting philosophies he was mentioning
Mm-hmm.
about how you know instead of fighting against the citizens, you give them hope and resources they need, and then if you take away from them, then that's where you have control of these people, you know, over
Yeah.
violence. Like that is very true, and I that's one of the things people don't talk about, and I like about him as a villain for Fast Five, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and the action scenes, this is where they really like um like in terms of best action scenes, you know, minus Fear 7 and the later ones, Fast Five have the ones that are really top notch. I mean, the train heist scene is just amazing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah, it's
you
a good
know,
one.
yeah, I mean that was really great to show off the scale that they were going for this film. The the Rock versus Dom thing is great. Uh, and yeah, and then of course the Bolt is just the most iconic thing in cinema. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's so ridiculous. I mean, of course the switching of it is something I didn't expect that. That was cool. Oh my god! And then the bridge. You know, Dom using it as a weapon. It's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my god. So it's crazy. But yeah, it's already amazing. And the music by Brian Taylor. I you know I he's a composer under Hans Zimmer, and like you do get a sense of Hans Zimmer vibes from his score, depending
Mm-hmm.
the kind of movie. But this really works for Fast and Furious. Like he actually created the theme for Fast and Furious. If you heard that, the dun 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 dun. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
it, I know we're in a Fast and Furious movie, and I think his score was really great for this film. So, but yeah, I can praise a lot with Fast Five. I mean, it's a great film. I highly recommend watching it. I was surprised you put this low in your list at five.
Yeah, I did really like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I feel like if I were to watch them all again independently, it would be up in like the top three.
Hmm.
Um, but there was definitely a sense like as we were watching it over the like 48 hours as we went
Hmm.
on, we I don't know, we just kind of like the world stopped existing and we were just in like the Fast and Furious universe.
Right,
And
right.
the crazier it got, the more into it we were. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think we rated F8 and F9 higher than we normally would have.
yeah.
Um,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, that shocked me. I was like, I mean, Fate the Furious, I can give you that. Like, at least it felt like a Fast and Furious movie. Where
Mm-hmm.
F9, I didn't feel like that.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, um, because with the Fate of Furious, they had The Rock still. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, it still had that, like, DNA from Fast Five. Like, The Rock was there, and Staten, being introduced from the franchise was a great addition to the team, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it's also the director. Like he gave some flair to the action scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like like he was way focused on character driven parts, and I think that was very unique with the Fast and Furious. Like the best scene in the zombie cars chasing was the team versus the Dom.
Mm-hmm.
When they hook on Dom's car and like he has to stop them from capturing him.
Yeah.
Like like that was a great like sequence because that was like very character driven. It's like okay, you know, yeah. F9 was like, ugh, I don't know, tonal whiplash for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but yeah. So in that note, I think uh this is like a wrap for the ranking of Fast and Furious. I'm so sad now. It's like oh, it's just so sad. Are you happy that you made a ranking video of Fast and Furious?
Yeah. No, I mean it's been nice to talk about it. My experience watching all of them in 2 days.
Well,
Or
it's
not
not.
all of them, but
Yeah,
all but two of them.
yeah. I maybe need to shoot a call for John to maybe do the Friday hangout. You, me, and
Uh-huh.
John to see this movie. We need to see it in the theater, the
Yeah.
new
No,
one.
it's we definitely want to see it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So I will pay for the food. You guys just need to pay the tickets, and that's it. And then we go from there.
okay.
you know, it, it's. I mean, like, oh my god, it's just this crazy. I mean, with Hunt's Job, like this is the 11th movie in of this series, and it's crazy. It's like
Mm-hmm.
11 movies, and then the next movie is the 12th. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it's oh my god, I, I'm so happy I've discussed it. Like it's. Speaking of the hour, I can't believe I think this is going to be my longest podcast. 3 hours, maybe 2 hours. I don't know.
Our Spider-Man No Way Home one was close to that, but yeah.
Yeah, close to that. Oh my god, I cannot believe it. I mean, it just shows how freaking bigger the Fast and Furious has become,
Mm-hmm.
and just the plots. It's like, oh my god, what's going on?
Yeah,
Oh my
that's
god,
crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. So I hope everyone enjoyed this, and hope we at least acknowledge everything that's happened in these films because it just gets crazy, as Will say from his comments. But yeah, um, Will, in the next 2 weeks we're gonna do another Marvel Plus talk. Because Spider First is the next thing we're doing.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm so excited. I don't know when Secret Invasion is coming out.
I
I know
think
it's
it's
coming out.
the 21st of June. I think I saw.
Is it? Okay,
I think that's what I saw.
hold on. Let me check. Because it's yeah, you're right. Will it's in the 21st.
Okay.
So you're on point. I it's crazy. So okay, so we got Spider Verse as our main theme because I was kind of
Mhm.
concerned about that. So but yeah. So that's gonna be our next theme. Which I'm very excited that Spider Verse is here very soon. I'm so happy. Oh my god, it's
Yeah,
so
I'm
great.
looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's just so happy to see Miles, Gwen, and then the Spot as the main one. It's just great.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I hope
Yeah,
you
thank you.
yeah, I hope you enjoyed this long discussion on Fast and the Furious. I cannot believe it. I am so happy we did it. It's just oh my god, I love this franchise. I mean, my family loves this, and it's a good franchise, you know.
Yeah,
So anyway, everyone, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Me and Will will be back again for another podcast. But in the meantime, enjoy this latest ranking of Andreas Buck. Have a good night, everyone.